All right, you guys, we are live, and I'm trying to go live on both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So bear with me for just a moment while I get YouTube up and running, and we'll go for it. I will not be long. It is super late, but I wanted to keep my word and come back and chat with you guys a little bit as a follow up to what we talked about last week on my Facebook page. So give me just a moment and we will jump right in. Let's see. Let me make sure I have my review. Not now. I believe the chat is open. So if you happen to log on while this is live, I welcome you to talk with me in the comments. And if you view this after the live is over, please, by all means, leave your comments. Give me a second and we're going to get Facebook going. All right. All right. So now we have Facebook and YouTube. We are loaded, locked, and ready to rock, as they say. And I believe the comments are open on both platforms. So if you happen to log in while this is live, please, by all means, give your comments. And hopefully, this is set up so that I will see them well. Hope everybody's having a good night. I'm doing this later because I was able to actually get out on a Friday night and go and support some other fellow creatives. I went to the City Takers event tonight out in Marietta, Georgia, and the artists were great. Designed by God performed. I think it's Free Will performed. It was my first time hearing him. He really had such a groove, a really soulful artist. So I really, really, really enjoyed him. And what I will try to remember to do is go in and add the social media links to these artists so you can check them out for yourself. So yeah, it was designed by God, Free Will, and then Jordan Armstrong. He was the headline artist for the night, and he was amazing as usual. If you've ever seen Jordan perform or you've heard his music, I'm sure you love him. So I'll make sure I link these artists somewhere in the comments for YouTube and Facebook so that you guys can check them out for yourself. So I'm doing this late, but it was for a worthy cause. All right, so tonight, just for a couple of minutes, I wanted to come back and chat with you guys about those three common struggles that we talked about that creatives often have struggles with. And so the first one was having trouble resting, trouble getting enough rest. The second one was having issues with self disclosure. And the third one was procrastination. So I want to talk about all three of them briefly. And as you listen, you will hear that there is no cookie cutter answer for what will help all of us because we're all different, we're all unique, we all struggle for different reasons, sometimes for similar reasons. But the fact that we as creatives struggle with some of the same things, there's so much hope and encouragement in that because we can support each other through our honesty and we can share resources. So that's what I'm here to do tonight. I'm a creative and I'm also a counselor slash coach slash consultant. And my entire demographic so far of clients that I have actually serviced have been of other creative people, whether they are people who are making a living off of their creativity, or people who just really see the value in their art or see the value in their gifts. And they're at different phases of using those gifts to the glory of God. And so, because I can relate to so many struggles, things that I still deal with, and some things that I have experienced some level of healing with and some level of growth, it's always a pleasure for me. I enjoy sharing things that have helped me, or even just ways to really dig deep so that we all can find the solutions that we need, so that we won't just perform well, so that we will actually be well in a holistic sense. So let's talk about that first common struggle, which was trouble getting rest. And three of the reasons that I named last week is that one, being overcommitted. Two was worrying about how things are going to work out, um, worrying about maybe past failures, or even maybe worrying about the impact of success in an area. So worry. And then the third was ideas. Sometimes creativity can keep you up. That's oftentimes my experience. I mentioned last week that I'm a night owl. So oftentimes, just like right now, even though it's super late and I should really probably be working on something else, it's right up my alley to be on tonight talking about something creative. So yeah, those were the three reasons why oftentimes we struggle with rest. And so, my tip, my solution, or my, I would say, step one towards finding a solution that will work for your unique situation is to, first of all, identify what it is that makes it hard for you to rest. And that sounds very like, duh. I mean, figure out what it is and then you can work on the problem. But oftentimes, with not getting enough sleep, sometimes we don't always easily pinpoint what is keeping us up. We just know we couldn't go to sleep. And sometimes we will find things to distract ourselves, or maybe you do different things to help yourself to go to sleep, but that can be happening on a continuous pattern in a cycle, in 5, 10, 15, 20 years go by, and you never pause to really nail down what is stealing my rest. And so identifying what it is specifically for you is the first step. Um, and with that, my suggestion for all of us is to talk about it. Find someone that you feel you can be honest with, and that you know will hold you accountable to finding solutions. Talk to someone about the thing that is keeping you up, stealing your rest. Whether it's having a lot of ideas, whether it is, you're worried about something, or whether you're overcommitted. Talk about it. Talk about it, so that, for one, you get it out and you acknowledging, I have a problem. I do not get enough rest. Like, that's the first step. Um, Actually speaking it out pulls you a little bit further than thinking about it and thinking like, man, I need to get more rest. Sometimes acknowledging it to someone that you know cares about, not just how you perform, but whether or not you are holistically well. Talk to someone that can help you to be accountable. Hey, Veronica, thank you for logging on. Make sure you chime in. Veronica is also a counselor, and she's also a creative being. She has a business of her own. She's an event planner, and she also sings. I don't know how she'll feel about me putting that out there, but and she's a mom, and she's a friend to many. So I'm sure she can relate to the struggle of not getting enough rest sometimes. So please chime in, give us your tips and any of your counselor expertise on ways that we creatives can get rest. And so, yeah, my main suggestion for tonight is relevant to everyone. Talk about it. Talk about it with someone who will hold you accountable. to finding a solution. So if you are someone who you're not getting rest because you're overcommitted, share that with someone who is going to follow up with you and say, have you sat down and looked at your calendar and figured out what you can eliminate or what you can do a little bit less of so that you get enough rest? So, yeah, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it with someone who is going to follow up and be like, looks like your calendar is still a little overcommitted, a little crowded, thought you were going to try to work that out. So that has worked for me. That has been, I don't always like when I'm called on the carpet, but it has helped me to think, to pray, and to be proactive about getting enough rest. So the next one was self-disclosure, and I'll probably sit here for a few more minutes than rest, possibly. So I want to point out that issues with self-disclosure are often connected to a lack of self acceptance. Issues with self disclosure are often connected to a lack of self acceptance. And when I think about self disclosure for a creative, there are so many, I guess, pictures I can get in my mind because you can be someone who writes, you can be a blogger, you can be an event planner, you can be a singer, or you can be someone who wants to create something and share it, and maybe you're holding it back, or maybe you're only sharing a little bit, or maybe you're embarrassed, or you don't feel comfortable with promoting your business. um, I know for me, I can think of with singers, oftentimes self disclosure may relate to not being comfortable with maybe speaking to represent your music. Um, for me, and definitely for someone with my personality type, I tend to be naturally a little more guarded than the next person. But I have found that the more I accept myself and my flaws, and I'm willing to acknowledge my insecurity, the more free and open and able to connect with my audience I become. So I don't know what that looks like for each of you. I welcome you to chime in. But often being afraid to share yourself with the world, post your thoughts or your creativity on social media. Sometimes, and not even just on social media, it could be um, on your job or with other creative people who you respect. Sometimes we don't want to share because we're having problems with accepting ourselves. And sometimes we can stay in a space like that because we may put it on someone else and say, oh, well, people might not like it, or people might not think that I'm good at this, or they might not support. But when you really dig up under the layers of that, it's really not about what people will think. It's about how much do you accept, how much do you appreciate and respect what God is doing in you. And the more you accept you and what God is doing in you, the less you are prone to holding back because someone might not accept it. Um, and then the other thing that is oftentimes connected to a lack of self acceptance is fear of rejection. So, in fear of rejection, man, that thing right there, it has such a strong root. It has such a strong root. Definitely, comparing ourselves to the next person, for sure. Over on Facebook, that's a comment that Veronica chimed in with, comparing ourselves to other people. Yeah. So in comparison, as we know the saying goes, comparison what? It kills. It kills our dreams, and it literally can impact our physical health because it's impacting our mental health. So yeah, if you have problems with self disclosure, first of all, know that you're not alone. We all have different challenges with self disclosure from one season of our lives to the next. Sometimes just when you think Oh, I'm good. I got this. I don't care what people think because I'm good. I love me. Just when you think you may bump into another challenge. So it's good to know that being afraid to share is common and you are not by yourself, but also know that being afraid to share is more connected with your acceptance of you than anything else. Um, and if we really wanted to go any deeper with that, we would know that our acceptance of ourselves is tied to our belief about ourselves, which comes from our beliefs about God. So we can get into that a little bit more another time. But if you're struggling with self disclosure, it's okay. People do. However, because God put something inside of you that needs to be shared with whomever He places in your path. Um, you got to do something. You got to do something. And even if that something starts with just acknowledging, I have been wanting to do this for so long. I've been planning, praying. I done took 12 classes on it, but I haven't put it out there yet because I'm afraid. And just really dig into that. And so my tip for that is the same as the first one. Talk about it. This is a forum where you can talk about it, but also just pick someone in your life that you can be intentional with having a conversation and saying, okay, you know how I've been saying I'm going to launch this business, but I've been doing it on the low low. Let me tell you why y'all can't get me to promote my business or put myself out there. It's because I'm afraid of what people are going to think. And so, start having that conversation. And so maybe that person can help you by sharing their experiences, but that person, if nothing else, they can bring that before you when you get ready to do number three, the third thing that creatives have an issue with, and that is procrastination. Procrastination is a big one. Some people, they don't have issues with procrastination like that. They may be tempted to procrastinate, but they are a lot more ease. They are a lot more apt to kind of trip that cycle. They know what to do to get themselves going and to not get caught up by procrastination. Others have major issues with procrastination. It could be, man, procrastinating on making a phone call that will give an answer that is needed. It could be procrastination on actually just opening up a laptop and starting to type. And then there are those of us who, like I mentioned before, will take a bunch of classes. And then after we've taken 5 classes, we figure, let me just take one more. Sometimes taking classes is a way to procrastinate. And so that's why I love classes that whether they are formal education where you're in university or school, or whether they are online e-courses. I love those, but I love courses that encourage a person to actually be working and actually put themselves out there while they are still taking the class. So yeah, taking classes is a way that we procrastinate sometimes. Um, Putting it off for tomorrow just to say, well, tomorrow will be better because I will have more time. And so I can briefly share with you a lesson that I have been learning in that lately. So for like maybe the past 6 months or so, um, I've had different emergencies to happen for myself or for someone in my family. And so oftentimes, when emergencies happen or things happen where you have to kind of alter your routine to make sure that everything and everyone is taken care of, sometimes those opportunities those might actually be opportunities for procrastination because they give you a good reason to wait until next month, or a good reason to say you'll do it tomorrow because you have this emergency going on. But something that I have learned, and I feel like I've been able to put into motion even more recently, is that when emergencies and stuff spring up, it's a reminder to me not to waste the time that I have when there isn't an emergency going on, because emergencies happen in life. But if for the past 2 weeks prior, I've been wanting to work on this project, but I put it off for the next 2 weeks, not knowing that an emergency was going to spring up, which was going to give me another reason to procrastinate. So use those times when your schedule is thrown off as a motivation to plan and to execute and to get things done. So that's just a little bit of a tip. But my tip for the third one is the same as the other two. Talk about it. And when it comes to procrastination, oftentimes we equate procrastination with laziness. Sometimes we think that about other people, and sometimes honestly we say that to ourselves, like, man, that was just pure lazy because you could have done this or you could have done that. And I was watching a playback of a vlog that I posted like in January, where I was talking to two of my friends about some things that I could do to promote my business. And one of those things I was not doing. And my friend Tiffany, who's also a creative scholar, she asked me why aren't you doing it? And I was like, lazy, and I kind of laughed it off. But when I thought back on that thing, I was like, that was just an easy answer to kind of laugh it off, so she would not continue to press and dig and find out, like, okay, this is something you can do pretty easily, why aren't you doing it? But um laziness is often an easy answer, but we have to remember that oftentimes, at all times, laziness is physiological. It's not just physically you're not doing something. Being lazy when it comes to certain things is mental. So it's mental, but there could also be things happening in your body, things that may relate to your diet, things that may relate to being hydrated, things that may relate to getting enough movement around, lack of rest, lack of know-how, lack of knowledge. Yes, absolutely. So lack of know-how for sure can make us procrastinate instead of it motivating us to learn what we need to learn and do what we need to do. We procrastinate. And so that is why my tip for this one too is talk about it. Find someone that you trust and someone who has the mental wherewithal to care about you enough to encourage you, because they want to see you progress. They want to see you grow. They want to see you reach that goal that you have in your mind. They will be, just as happy as you to see you achieve some of your goals, or just to see the freedom that you feel when you actually do what you said you were going to do, when you actually start making those moves and taking those steps, because each step you take is an encouragement, even if it doesn't go the way you feel like it's going to go. Taking steps can help you to gain momentum, and when you start gaining momentum, it becomes easier to do things. So for that last one, again, talk about it. And even if you don't know people who would really relate, know that a person can just be a good listener. And that in itself is help, because it gives you a space to talk. And I will come back another week and we can talk about some tips for being a good listener for someone, when someone wants to share with you what's happening with them creatively. That's something that I can come back and do another time. All right. So, with those three struggles that we have with rest, self disclosure, and procrastination, my encouragement is, while we're just while you're sitting there listening and while I'm talking, that you get that person in your mind and set your intention to have coffee with them, or to have a morning chat with them, or um, maybe you can snag them after church on Sunday if it's someone who goes to church with you, and say, I've been wanting to talk to you about this, or can I share something with you? Get that person in your mind. If you can't think of anyone, pray. Say a prayer. Lord, Will you please direct me to someone who I can talk to, someone who will hold me accountable, someone who has my best interest at heart, someone that I can trust. Say that prayer, and I believe the Lord will provide that for you. And I can give a personal testimony. In the past year, there have been times when I just couldn't see my way out of just a cloud, a cloud of ideas, a cloud of thoughts about things that could limit me, a cloud about what I don't have, where I've just gotten fed up with thinking. How am I going to make some headway? And I just got to a space where I just simply said a prayer, wrote it in my prayer journal, like, Lord, lead me, you know, take me to some sort of oasis when it comes to my creativity and the things that I feel you've called me to do to help creatives. And it wasn't anything difficult that I needed to do to start, but I was just so bogged down in my mind that I could feel it in my physical body. So really, the only thing I knew to do was pray, and that was the best thing for me to do. And I can think of how it may have been a week or two later. Um, Someone from my church who I had never talked to before about being an artist or about working with creatives, we happened to be having a conversation. Um, During praise and worship, we were both serving, and we just happened to have the conversation. And this person became interested and was just so supportive, also a creative person, and just gave me some little tips that of things that I could do to work on my brand. And the things that she told me were not rocket science, and they weren't things I had never thought about doing. But just the fact that someone that I did not know, that did not know my history when it comes to artistry, or did not know anything about me being a counselor and working with creatives, for God to use someone that I respect to just ask me questions and listen to what I had to say for 5 minutes. That conversation has gone a long way. That person didn't do any magic tricks for me. They didn't give me $10,000 so I could work on my brand. They just asked me questions, and they wanted to hear, and they showed some respect and appreciation for what was happening in me when I didn't even know that that's what I needed. So I share that to say that don't think like, oh, I don't have anyone, or don't always think of, I guess, the busiest, the most popular person that you think could understand and relate. I mean, that could be your person, and if so, that's fine. But I guess what I'm trying to say is keep your eyes open. Be open for who God could send your way to really encourage you. Crazy how we can take things from unfamiliar people better. That's very true. That's very true. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not. Your best friend or your husband or your sister or your mom. And I think sometimes that familiarity that comes with it. Sometimes you feel like, oh, my friends and family, they love me. And so even if I'm really not that good, or even if they're really not that interested, they're probably going to support me anyway. And that's not always the truth, because we all have that friend that will tell us, like, oh no, that ain't your thing. And be honest with you. Um, but sometimes it just feels like, I don't know, sometimes it feels more I guess like authentic, maybe that's the right word I'm looking for. Sometimes it feels more authentic coming from someone that we don't really, someone who's unfamiliar. Um, I'm sure there's a lot of layers to why we take things better from other people. Yeah, sometimes we think, oh, they're just saying that. So yeah, sometimes God will use people we haven't a clue about, just to show us, like, I heard your prayer, and I'm trying to wake you up to know that there are answers, there are resources, there are people around us that can help us. And then also, if you are a creative person, that's watching this, to remind you of how important it is for you to be intentional when it comes to praying for others, or how much it may mean for you to say, I brought your, I downloaded your single, or for you to say, like, oh, I saw what you were doing. I heard what you were doing for such and such. I'm glad that went well. I mean, like, we don't have to, it doesn't have to be flattery. We don't have to, you know, go above and beyond to come up with the most intricate compliment. Sometimes it just comes with being honest and being willing to speak the things that you see in other people. So, um, I know that may not be everybody's call to encourage other creative people, but that means a lot to me. Simple things mean a lot to me. I guess I don't seek out for people to tell me I can do stuff, because I know that I got to know that for myself, between me and God. But there have been times where I didn't even know I needed encouragement, and God would send someone my way just to, I guess, kind of awaken me, to get me to kind of wake up and not sit on what He has given me. And so that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for hanging in with me for a whole half hour. Thank you, Veronica, for chiming in. You've said some very valuable things. And I just hope that if nothing else comes from you watching this, that you will know that the things that are in your mind to do, your creative ideas, no matter what phase you are at in them, they matter. They literally make a difference. Whether you have ever shared your gifts, or whether you're already on a platform where a lot of people see what you do, or whether you have a consistent small group of people that you encourage, the things that God gives you, they matter. And so if not getting enough sleep, being afraid to share yourself and your gifts, or procrastination, those things are in your way, you can make progress, and you can progress, and you can see some growth and some change, and you can expand beyond where you may feel stuck right now. So I encourage you to talk to someone, and I also encourage you to reach out to me. You can do a free 30-minute consultation with me, just to share, to talk through what you may be struggling with, or what you may just need some support in. And if you do the 30-minute consultation, we can determine from there whether you need counseling, coaching, or consulting, whether I'm the person to support you, or whether there are resources that I can share with you that may help you. So to do a 30-minute free consultation, you can send me an email at anchoredhopecompany@gmail.com. Anchoredhopecompany@gmail.com. If you are watching this on YouTube, I will make sure that I pop that into the comments for you, and I will also link Anchored Hope Company's YouTube page. And if you are watching this on Facebook, make sure that you go over and like the Anchored Hope Company Facebook page, where you can just click contact, and that email will come to me. Or you can go straight to your Gmail or your email account, and send me an email to anchoredhopecompany@gmail.com. 30 minutes, free of charge. We can talk through what's happening, what's going on with you, and see if there are some ways that I can support you further. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Share this, give them thumbs up on whichever platform you're watching. And thank you, Veronica, for popping that in there. Yeah, share this, please, with anyone that you feel it will help. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I hope it has helped you a little bit. All right, I'll see you guys again soon.